right. Well, hi, everyone. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. We wanted to begin the presentation by talking about resilience. And I think it ties in very, very well with the VUCA concept that was covered earlier today and earlier in the presentation. Resilience is something that both Nina and I had to practice very recently. Resilience is something that David Miles and I will speak about on Wednesday as well. Resilience is a key to what we do. It's a key competency as HR professionals. Resilience is critically important in the work and the business that we do today. So we are practicing resilience here with a presentation that, it is true, we pulled some things together, and we hope you enjoy our presentation.
We wanted to make sure we stuck with the theme, which is talent development. And the one thing that both Kethy and I know in doing leadership development work is that one of the key elements going forward is going to be the ability to be a good communicator, and across cultural lines as well as internally in an organization. So we crafted this presentation around that topic.
That's great.
So one of the things that led us here is my study and research on communications and what happens when communication can go wrong. And so HP in India had a case study that said, your product should or could be your common space, but if the language and understanding gets in the way, the communication never transpires, only frustration. And my example of that is my own son-in-law had a checking account at Bank of America. His name is Jose Vasquez. He's El Salvadorian. He lost his ATM card, and he called the bank to talk to them and to try to get his card reissued. And my daughter, his wife, was not available. She was traveling on business. And he called the bank and identified himself and said, this is Jose Vasquez, and I need to have my bank card reissued. My address is this, my account number is this. And the guy on the other end of the line says, sorry, sir, there's no Jose on this account. There's only Josh. And so my son-in-law says, no, there's no Josh. It's Jose, Jose. And the guy says, no, my name is Josh, and it's Jose, but it's Josh. So they spent some time arguing over whether or not it's Jose or Josh. And it was so frustrating, my son-in-law just finally hung up, and he called me and he said, Senora, would you call and see if you can help me get my ATM card? That happens a lot. There's a lot of frustration, a lot of opportunity for misunderstanding, because in all of our different contexts, we have different words that mean the same thing or are pronounced differently. And so it does leave a gap in our ability to understand and comprehend.
So as mentioned, this is designed to be an interactive presentation. So I'd like to ask the audience, what happens when you hear something that doesn't make sense? What happens? Thoughts on that? I'm sorry. Speak up. What happens when you hear something that doesn't make sense? Confusion, right. Thank you for that. Yes.
I heard ask again. I heard confusion. I heard misunderstanding. One of the things that I've witnessed happen when we hear something, I know this happens to me. If I hear something I don't understand, a word that doesn't make sense, I think about that word and I don't listen to anything else that's said. So I stop listening and I start trying to figure out what my disconnect to what I just heard was. So for example, in India, when the word controversy, that's the American pronunciation, is pronounced, it's pronounced controversy. And it's also that way in British English, I think. But when you're sitting in an audience and you're listening and you hear something like that and you're not used to hearing the pronunciation that way, you're going like, what was that? What did they say? Another saying is, I was with a gentleman on an airplane and we were talking and I was asking him, because I'm an HR person, I always interview my seatmates to see what I can find out about them. And so he was telling me about his family, and he said, my wife is very homely. And I'm thinking to myself, well, homely in American English means that she's not very good looking. And why would he volunteer that kind of information to a stranger on a plane? And then I came to find out that homely in Indian context means that she stays home, that she doesn't work, that she's very good at keeping house and keeps a very nice home. But in my thought of listening to him, my mind is wandering off. I'm not hearing anything else he's saying to me because I'm trying to figure out why would he say that his wife is homely. There's this disconnect of the moment at what you heard and what your understanding is, and your mind stops listening. And you only start trying to figure out that word, and by the time you reconnect to the conversation, you've missed the rest of the context.